Good morning to you from Hong Kong on the other side of the harbour. The reason we are here can pretty much be summed up, Anna, by the story you've just read. The fact that Japan, for instance, is today going to show GDP growth upwards of 1 percentage point in the latest quarter, signalling the end of the Japanese recession, part of the Great Recession. It is part of a patchwork and framework of countries in Asia, which are now starting to show that they have decoupled from, if you like, other countries like the European Union or parts of it and the United States. Just take a look at these statistics, which really make the point clear. Hong Kong on Friday reported second quarter GDP up 3.3%. A slight statistical anomaly in Singapore, where the number was 20.7%. They went very heavily into recession. They came out just as heavily. That is what you truly call the original V-shaped recession. South Korea up 2.2% in Q2, and even Australia, which skirted recession, never went into technical, but is now showing growth of around half a percentage point. Anna, put those numbers together, and you start to see that it is this part of the world that, for some inexplicable reason, or at least reasons that nobody can explain satisfactorily, showing the real growth. And the reason, of course, is everyone thought Asia would suffer because of its exports not going to the West. What's happened, of course, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, Richard, if we do see this growth in Japan, as analysts predict, 1% growth, they will be joining countries like France and Germany that have also had surprising growth. Are we seeing a turnaround?
I think there's no question, none whatsoever, that in Asia the turnaround is not only, underway, it's entrenched, and it is going to continue. The reasoning behind it is what's perplexing economists. I've read over the last week or so 1,001 different reasons, everything from fiscal stimuli to a better preparation of the banking system, to the fact they weren't so enmeshed in toxic assets. You can permeate it's like a bingo caller. You can take any one of the reasons, but the fact is that the UK is still in recession. Large parts of the EU are in a deepening recession, or at least bottoming out. And even the United States is only just now leveling off, not returning to growth. So the crucial issue becomes what role countries like Japan, China, India, and all the other growing countries can do to drag everybody else, if you like. Can they be the engines of growth? The better view is that they cannot be sufficient. They are certainly necessary, but not sufficient for the rest of the world's growth.
So, Richard, we're seeing these signs of recovery, which is obviously very exciting, but we've got to remember that the government has thrown so much money at so many economies to get them going, to stimulate them. Is this growth sustainable?
It is sustainable if it becomes, you have what's known as a virtuous cycle. Growth breeds growth, breeds growth, breeds growth, and that's what you want. What you don't want is the death spiral, which is what we had going into the recession, where you get job losses, which feed to less consumer spending, which leads to more job losses. Now, if what's happening in places like China, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, all these countries, if what's happening there is if you like, the spice, the impetus, the fuel priming the engine, then yes, you will start to get this growth rising across the classic phrase, the rising tide lifts all boats. But we're a long way from that in, for example, Europe and the United States. So, can this part of the world be enough to do it? I suspect not. And what I think is going to happen ultimately, we're going to end up with economists once again. The word you're going to hear, Anna, and you heard it here first, decoupling. Has Asia decoupled from the US and the EU?